Hello everybody, it's Constellation TV time one more time today. You can't escape us. Easter is over.
No.
The Pope has died. We have the news with you.
Holger!
It's Holger Mueller from Constellation Research, welcoming our fabulous co-host, Liz Miller. Hey Liz, how are you? Are you Catholic?
Are you Catholic? No, I'm not Catholic, and I cannot with you.
Me neither. But we feel for our friends who are Catholic, and we lost a big leader. The first South American Pope to be in charge.
I mean, major world leader.
Non-European Pope since over 1,000 years, so definitely a disruptive event.
Who also did not think of technology as the devil, so kind of makes
he was a modern guy.
He was a modern guy, maybe even a fan of CRTV. I mean, can we go that far? That's probably slander.
Yeah, probably.
That's probably addressable in court.
But you never know. You never know. We don't track our views really professionally, right? We don't know.
We do.
A Vatican IP address is there.
Much in trouble. This whole front section is just going to be one giant blooper. But this is because Holger was skiing and he gets spicy after he skis. So this is what happens, folks. Listen, we're here for episode 103 of CRTV, and you guys know what that means. It means we're going to talk about the news. Holger, what news has been happening in your world?
Well, not much news happened because it was Easter week, generally, right? The big event I attended was Google Cloud Next, which was a big event.
That was tiny. That was a little thing.
Yeah, not really relevant. It was just 32,000 people, the biggest ever. Of course, in Las Vegas, the only place where you can put so many people there. And it's really getting more and more compelling for CIOs, CXOs in general to look at what Google is doing. One of the questions I asked Thomas Kurian last year is every year they do something which is unique, different, and not responded by the competition. So I'll give you historic examples of second-based timing, right? People were doing minute-based timing, right? The minute started, you paid for the minute, use it or lose it. Second-based timing, of course you save money, right? They're the only 100% green cloud, right? Even in the era of AI, which they do for all the other business, right? They have by far the fastest network infrastructure in the background, 2.5 times bigger, better, of course, because they use YouTube and so on. This year, they announced their seventh generation of their TPUs, like their in-house proprietary thing which runs all things AI at Google, and it's Ironwood. And the amazing thing is Ironwood this year will do, because the other AI conference I was NVIDIA, Ironwood this year will do what Rubin, the newest platform announced by NVIDIA, will do in 2 years, right? 2.5 times more compute capability. And that means Google can do totally different things in terms of combination of last year. The whole thing, as you remember, it was all about multimodal AI models, right? Which can do more things. And we know intuitively, multimodal is closer to how human intelligence works, right? Because we can hear, we can see, we can interpret body tone, we can interpret body language. So multimodal is the way forward. Not even a people multimodal. As the competition is catching up on multimodal, they're showing the next thing on that. So very impressive from that perspective. Of course, it was all about agents. Of course, it was providing Google distributed cloud to the gap and providing agents on premises. And here comes the interesting thing. Great partnership with NVIDIA. Guess what's in the proprietary built Google machines at the edge? NVIDIA CPUs and GPUs, of course, right? They're opening up their cloud WAN, almost done. Lots of stuff happening on the database side with an anywhere cache, with rapid storage capabilities, and the hyperdisk, which is a virtual thing to run all your AI on. Also on the non-SQL database side, with Firestore, they're supporting MongoDB. Everybody's going after MongoDB, right? We all talk, everybody's going after VMware. Well, everybody's going also after MongoDB. And then LLDB rolls on their PostgreSQL database, and Oracle at Google Cloud is doing extremely well. So another reason why Google Cloud is actually 3-4 years ahead from the AI infrastructure, something that CIOs, CXOs, listening, CTOs need to pay attention to, because the faster, cheaper AI, the more multimodal AI will win. We know that, right? When your agent is faster than the other agent, they will have a couple of legs up in the game of agent-to-agent communication, which was last thing, right? We all talk about MCP, but Google also announced together with SAP and Oracle an agent control interface which runs on top of NCP, which is really the name of the game for this quarter. Like, how do we get all these agents under control?
Yeah. And I think that is the big question. I think the other big question that came out from the very end of the week was if the courts have their way and some of the rulings that came out in some of the recent Google, kind of big Google conversations, certainly not Google Cloud but kind of the larger portion of the business, if those rulings stay, that could very well not just impact the business. I mean, of course, there's the business story, but it's going to impact the data, right? Because it is going to make it a heck of a lot harder for some of those AI sources to be able to leverage the larger pieces of Google's resource of data and some of that that's going to come in. So I think on the AI conversation, some of those of us who follow Google from the advertising and the marketing side of the house, I think there are a lot of questions. Those questions, of course, are on hold as appeals are moving forward of two of the major landmark cases that Google has been embroiled in for several years now around not just antitrust but around ethical behaviors. So I think we're going to see those appeals play out. But I think that in that time period, I do think it's a huge opportunity, and it becomes an absolute imperative for Google Cloud and for that Google Cloud business to really start stepping up and representing more of that piece of the of the Google revenue pie, and they've been doing that year over year. So I think that we've been seeing that, and we've been seeing that growth. We've been seeing some really great models and some really great initiatives as Google Cloud has been rolling out new opportunities for even folks in the contact center to be able to apply AI into existing systems and really ramp up what they've been able to do. So I think that we're seeing a ton of innovation that's coming out of not just the infrastructure side of Google Cloud, but also for the non-CIO, for that CXO who's partnering with the CIO to really look for faster, efficient productivity gains in a lot of your functional solutions. I think that Google is really providing those hooks into those conversations. So I would say to the CXO, similar to what Holger said with the CIO, go into your CIO and ask those questions. Ask the question of why is everyone having that big conversation of, is it Oracle, is it Google, is it Microsoft? Because those conversations around Azure, those conversations around Google Cloud are going to become really, really important, because speed is going to be the differentiator, but it's going to be speed in ways that we haven't necessarily had the conversation before. It's not just going to be what processes faster, what stores faster, what gets from point A to point B faster. It's going to be that bi-directional conversation in those multi-point agents, where if your agent's giving that answer faster to the next agent, and then the next agent is what stalls, that's what's stalling your business. Right, that's what's stalling your business. So for CXOs, go and have that conversation now, because I think Google does offer a lot of that innovation, and they're thinking forward, where I think a lot of folks are still in the catch-up mode. So interesting stuff that I saw coming out of there as well.
Super important. It's stalling your business. You may not get the business. Right. This is why I see AI being the most transformational technology that we've seen, because it augments, replaces humans, and automates processes how we never could automate them. I give it away by conventional programming, because there's not enough programmers. But the ability to learn that. And you have made me think about a really interesting, important point. I don't go so much on the things on the Sun deck, the Google applications, like the call center application, the digital applications, but obviously building on the most powerful, fastest, and here we come back to speeds and feeds, which play a role, stack. I can build better applications. Right? If you compare the Copilot disaster that we all laugh about right now, right, which Microsoft had to create, why? Because they were compute constrained, right? Because the OpenAI capacity was limited, right? So this way could only build little AI pieces, right? Interesting in general, right? We don't hear, small models. The small model talk is kind of like spring came. The small model glacier has completely thawed, melted, is somehow liquidly going down the stream in the water cycle to come back as ice in a big, bad LLM or something like that.
But I think it's interesting. I mean, all of this conversation, and I think it's opened up, because I was recently at Canva Create, and here's an audience that you wouldn't necessarily think is talking about coding, that isn't necessarily thinking about how you apply AI to generate a new web application, generate a new digital product. But the speed at which folks can do that, right? Even if it's not as fast as a pro coder would need to see that speed come through, you're seeing now small, mid-sized business owners be able to use the newly introduced Canva code to create web pages, forms, web applications, digital applications. It's it's still front-end, basic back-end stuff. It's I'm not going and coding someone's entire database, but it's doing the functional things that people want it to be able to do, and it's doing it quickly, and quickly is always in the eye of the beholder. And I think that that starts to become a very, very important piece, because quickly in the eye of the CIO beholder is very, very different. And the CIOs now have an opportunity to educate the CMOs, the CXOs, the CCOs, all of us, right, in the front line out on the sun deck, as Holger says, to show why speed becomes the differentiator that gets you business and retains that business. I think that's a good play that Google's going to have to go down and have those conversations. Listen, we're almost out of time for the news, and I do want to touch on one thing that's certainly going to start being a headline. It's going to be really hard to ignore a lot of the layoffs that are happening in our space right now and across technology. We're starting to see it in smaller bits and pieces. You're starting to see a lot of sales teams kind of being quietly let go, but we are going to see those just from the notices that are being filed of larger layoffs that are going to happen throughout the summer. Keep your eyes on it. It's going to be news. It's going to feel really scary. I'm not sure if this is going to be a reset. I think we all need a little more information on why these are happening and kind of what is the reaction to that. I think a lot of people's knee-jerk reactions are going to be that it's tariff related, but we can't blame everything on a tariff, right? Especially in software. So I'm just saying right now, let's, I think we are going to have those conversations, but there is some pretty good conversations going on in our Constellation Insights area. We've got, not only two of our analysts kind of bringing up all of the pros and cons and all of the different points of view that you could be having, including our newest member of our team, who's not an analyst, but is in fact our chief distiller, Esteban Colsi. So you are going to see him here. We're gonna try to bring him on for a salon 50.
Time to haze
a little bit more.
Time to haze
Esteban.
Exactly.
But you'll see Esteban, you'll see Ray, and you'll see Larry Dignan talking about what is happening kind of in those markets. But keep those layoffs just know that they're coming. No one needs to really freak out. Know that they are coming, and know that they're pretty much hitting every sector of technology and kind of every row and rank of organizations. We're starting to see that become pretty lean.
And we see them materializing already in the largest line numbers, right? So projects are on hold. Yes, there's uncertainty in some parts of the world. But the point is that if you think about, you had a large consulting team to produce what? The setup of the biggest ones, right, would be your ERP system, which is a bunch of documents. Now, where does Gen AI first phase work extremely well? Interpreting and generating documents, right? So you will be able to mix and match your ERP setup in a matter of hours and not quarter like it was before. You can say, set up my ERP system. I admire company A for this, company B for this, company C for this, mix and match, because the dirty secret is, right, that's the irony of the ERP industry. The setup is owned by the ERP vendor. The customers pay millions to implement it. The SIs fly around the world Monday to Thursday, lots of miles, hotels nights, and so on. The outcome is documents, and those documents can be generated or reused and copied and mixed.
Reused, certainly. Reused and remixed. But again, that does bring us back to the conversation around the Google Cloud News, right? Because again, the faster you can get that done, the faster you get that done. And we're certainly seeing that come to bear in a lot of digital transformation solutions. Okay, so we've got a jam-packed episode for you, so thank you so much for bearing with us, being here with us. Holger and I will be back at the end of the show to bid a little farewell, but check out these next sections. I think you might even see a familiar face talking about stuff that's coming up. I don't know. You might even see someone else. You're going to see maybe that guy. It's going to be a fun episode. Thanks for joining us here on CRTV. We'll be back in a minute. Hey, everyone. Liz Mueller, VP and Principal Analyst here at Constellation Research, and I get to have one of my favorite people to gossip about technology and data and decisioning and marketing and experience. Rob Walker, how the heck are you? It's been far too long, my friend.
Yes, no, it's like, if you are like really into AI, which I am, this is what I always talk about. These are exciting times.
You've been a little busy. I think there are a lot of organizations that are looking at AI, and I would like to see productivity increase. I would like to be an AI organization. How do you even start to map and think out that goal? Like, where do you have to start those conversations?
Yeah, well, I think, and again, I can really even reflect on this, like just from a Pega perspective, also internally, right? That first of all, it has to be a conscious decision, but I think that is happening not just in Pega, but also a lot of our clients that I talk to at senior levels, right? That if you are not really becoming, like it was the same with digital, it's a really good example. If you're not really becoming an AI company, you will be eaten alive by companies that are, because they will really, this is not like a little nudge, this is like if we take Ellen's words about twice the productivity, and I think it could be a lot more than that. And you have to have a mindset from C-level down to think about like that may still be sound scary and maybe even not called for right now. But think about what could actually be autonomous, right? What do we really need here, right? And that's why also because now everything is agentic, obviously, and for good reasons, right? But it's not like a miracle cure, like okay now an agent happens, right? It's like what do these agents do? They behave in a safe way and still do really useful things. But I do think that autonomous thinking, like, do I really need to do this? Because we do this at Pega all the time now. It's like, hey, somebody is doing this and it seems to cost a lot of effort and maybe a lot of work. Is that really even necessary? And we're teaching each other lessons all the time. Are you still doing this? Well, why? This is a prompt that will do this for you, right? Or Iris, she will go away and an hour later she will come with a plan. You have to look at the plan. That's probably a good idea, but it will be 99%, if not 100% there. But that's a mindset. Even myself, I'm AI guy, right? Even I sometimes do things and I think, hold on, why am I doing this? I'll just ask Iris, and it's just work, right? It's not like I still do a lot of the creative thinking, but I think that mindset of like, do you really, what can be automated now that we don't only have these statistical AIs that we knew, right? But also this associative thinking, creative AI, and that combination, it's a complete mind shift.
I love that. How do you and how does Pega define agentic? Like, is there a standard that you guys hold yourself to that you're like, this is what agentic means, and if it doesn't meet this bar, don't call it agentic, right? Like, call it something else. But what is agentic?
Yes, so it is very. I think that's a very good point, right? Because for many, I think it is like, oh, we have these language models. Why is that not agentic? It takes more. It does take. I mean, the breakthrough was is that you have these sort of reasoning modules, especially in language, because we have had agents and AI agents for decades, right? Really communicating, doing things, but they were all rule-based, so they were very predictable. So it's not as exciting as now that we have like an Iris sort of reasoning, but then she has literally agency, right? She can do things, right? She can send emails, she can ask another agent or a buddy. So we distinguish that sort of, you really said it very, very fast, like, rack and CAG, but that's all a big difference, right? Can it reason? Can it act? Right? Is it rack? Is it CAG? Is it all of these things? Right? Then I think you're getting into, the autonomy of sort of decision making. That is really, I think, that's where you get into real agents, right? And I think like Iris is talking to her swarm of sort of helpers, right? That is really starting to feel like, she is sharing, intern or not, right? But she is sharing a room full of people, right? And then talks to them, bounce around ideas, and then comes back to me, right? Which is, by the way, purposefully currently, well, we do both, but Iris is started out as an email interface to make that really, first of all, it's a nice protocol for collaboration.
Interesting.
And everybody understands. Yeah, you could just see her or forward or add her to a thread and she would respond. But most importantly, it gave her sort of time to reflect a little. I mean, she was very responsive, more so than many of my other colleagues. But she was like, but it is a good interface. So because in chat, people, it's you're waiting. If it takes 5 seconds, you're already doing something else. Yeah, exactly. But that is what we mean by sort of, agents and agentic. And I personally, because I have, from the old days and my keynotes about AI, I've always been like, hey, the human in the loop sort of, that angle, right? And I still think that companies and society have to decide sort of, how much autonomy we gave to these agents. And I would like to see it sort of, as a dial, because I think in many areas you will give a lot of autonomy.
I love it.
Yeah.
Listen, Rob, I'm going to see you in like just a few short weeks. It seems like it's like right around the corner with PegaWorld. I'm super excited to see it. Thank you guys so much for inviting me again. I'm excited to be there. But in the meantime, listen, everyone, go check it out. Make sure that you're paying attention to what Rob's talking about. And we are going to see you live and in person in Las Vegas in just a couple weeks.
Hello, everybody. It's Holger Mueller here from Constellation Research, here to share with you one of my favorite events of the year, takeaways, which is Oracle's Database Analyst Summit. Very well attended by all the who's who in the database industry. It was a unique one because the grandfather, if you want, of the Oracle database, Andy Mendelsohn, wasn't at hand anymore, wasn't there. It was kind of like a gradual handover to his legitimate successor, Juan Loaiza, who was starting on the hardware side of Exadata and so on, and gradually moving over. Juan is now fully in charge. I think the product is in good hands. The whole team knows him. Everybody knows him. Customer know him. Analysts know him. A great conversation after the analyst dinner, even on the streets of San Carlos. I think he's a great leader and will not only keep the Oracle database where it is, but bring it to the next level, which is hard to think of on another next level, right? And why is it so interesting? The key really metric, the really trick that Oracle has done, and actually Juan mentioned one thing there, which is eye-opener here, is that all the competition basically has folded. And Juan shared at one point in his introducing remarks that about 7,000, you heard it here, 7,000 people are working on the Oracle database. Now, put yourself into key competitors' boots here, Microsoft being a perennial competitor. Does Microsoft want to invest 7,000 developers into SQL Server? Probably not, right? There's going to be a return and things happening in other parts of the Microsoft Azure or the Microsoft software stack where those 7,000 can do more. And hence you see these partnerships, which were originally very surprising, but the Oracle database runs on every of the major clouds, runs on Microsoft that I mentioned here. They were the first to come out of it, then ran on Google. Not such an overlap from a competitive portfolio. Yes, there's AlloDB at Google, but it's not really the high transactional, mission-critical database that customers around the world rely the Oracle database for. SQL Server was a competitor like that. The converged database value proposition, one database for doing all things in the database, is doing really, really well for Oracle. There's no question about that. And it's much, much more than just a transactional database where Oracle started out. There's Oracle Data Strategy forming. The Intelligent Data Lake was announced at Cloud World last year in September. It's still in kind of limited release, not probably available. I can't talk about too much of the detail, but it's clear that Oracle needs a big data, a data lake, a lakehouse story. So later in this year, you might hear and see anything around that probably. But you didn't hear it officially from me here. What is doing really, really strong is, of course, making the transactional database content available for AI applications. And that happens, of course, for graph analytics or vectors in the database. And Oracle has a strong push to basically vectorize everything. And with that, with Oracle 23 AI, it brings AI to all of its install base, which is tremendously interesting for existing customers because they're getting AI out of the dogs. There's more hardware support for that. We talk about the hardware side in a moment. So it was all very, very attractive for customers who are just running mission-critical transactional applications and now want to bolt on, has such a bad word, but want to AI-enable those applications with the help of Oracle, and Oracle 23 AI does exactly that. But Oracle is no longer only about the Oracle database, it's also about its second database, HeatWave, which has done an amazing really. I've never seen this in a similar way in any software category where one late starter in the market out-executed all the best-of-breed cloud startups. And what I'm talking about here is, of course, HeatWave, right? The HeatWave team has done a phenomenal job of not just doing transactional on MySQL, but with Oracle support, but also adding the OLAP perspective. They added JSON documents to this. They added AI machine learning database. They added data lake support for that. Of course, they have a great AI story too. Short, but not seen, like I said before. And I'm doing this since almost 40 years. You can see it from my gray hair. that one latecomer in market has out-executed in terms of functionality and functional richness all the competition. So for MySQL database, for low-cost databases, by the way, HeatWave does the same thing like his older brother or sister, if you want to say. The Oracle database, HeatWave, does run on other clouds, right? So which is interesting too. Runs on AWS. I don't know the total catalog out of the top of my head, but runs on other clouds, which is value for customers because they want to move databases to different clouds for cost reasons, for performance reasons, for data gravity reasons, for automation gravity reasons, because they have more data or more automation on these other clouds. Multi-cloud is really where Oracle is investing. We talked about this in the intro, really cemented the Oracle position as the leading relational database. Basically, there's only IBM left, and so we don't hear much, despite my questions, out of IBM these days. And the multi-cloud capabilities, the management, the ability to move between different clouds is very, very strong for customers, and the ability to plug that all into one provisioning and administration console, working with all these things together instead of having different products, different offerings, and different dashboards and different control planes is a massive, massive simplification for enterprises. And the interesting thing is, of course, Oracle has almost an unfair advantage. This is what has helped Oracle establishing the success of the Exadata series, which I think is now in version 12. Correct me if I'm wrong here, because Oracle knows the software that is running in the database, and Oracle then can design the hardware appropriately, right? Which leads to the really unique proposition situation that every generation of Exadata would give you more power for less cost, which is unique in that area. And that unfair advantage has also helped Oracle to determine its leadership on the database side. Remember the days in the 90s and 2000s also where Oracle had porting teams to bring the database to a variety of different hardware vendors to run there, right? All these times are basically over. It shows that the integrated vertical stack, which Larry Ellison's vision, right? His vision is to build the IBM of the 21st century. Massive investment run, overtaking Amazon AWS in terms of data center location, something people declared Larry Ellison. I think it might have been even still called Open World, where he said that Oracle will have more data centers than Amazon, which was 10 plus years ago. The historians might correct me here what the right time frame is. And it has happened, right? Oracle has overtaken, OCI has overtaken AWS data centers, right? The whole architecture has the whole benefit with generation 2 of that, of learning from the mistakes of the first clouds and putting all that in with a very nicely configurable network, right? Which led to massive investment, right? The last financial part before I close here is Oracle invests cash flow, open cash flow, free cash flow into R&D, into CapEx. The last number of Oracle's Q3 of this year, you can look it up in the public records, was that 75% of open cash flow, available cash flow was put into CapEx, and much of that went into data centers, right? And the reason for that is a massive investment. Oracle pays the vendor suppliers upfront, as they shared at last year's Cloud Summit for analysts. The right approach, obviously, working for them. And the nice thing from a longer outlook for Oracle is they basically have all these on-premise customers running the Oracle database. And now they're giving away, from a sales perspective, of making it more attractive for them to run OCI in the public cloud. And basically, they go to the piggy bank, if you want, their installed base and converting them nicely quarter for quarter for quarter. So not easily necessarily, not everything is smooth sailing, but overall very optimistic of the comeback. It's not really a comeback, right? Of the strong situation that Oracle is across the stack. To close on the Oracle Database Summit, which I started with, is Oracle has won and is moving progressive customer workloads to the public cloud with Exadata Cloud at customer, with Exadata machines in the public cloud. And vectorization is the trick of the game, right? Being able to take any of the content in the RDBMS, making it available as vectors, making it available to AI, making it queryable is really the future proofing and the continuance of the utilization of the Oracle database in the era of AI. HeatWave, nothing much to say. I always joke with the leader of HeatWave, Nipun Agarwal, if they're running out of things to build, and now they probably have run out of things to build, which is an interesting thing, which does not mean a bad thing never for a software product, because new things are always a version 1. may not be so well documented, may not have consultants to implement and have maybe a rocky start or whatever. But when there's nothing new being built, then the depth gets added and more capabilities, more stability, more ease of tune, more customer requirements are getting into the offering. And stay tuned, right? Oracle is looking beyond the traditional transactional database and the additions that they have there. The big thing which I've been criticizing and being vocal about is Oracle needs to play in the non-transactional database space with non-transactional data, not on the video part, but talking about the elephant in the room. This is big data lakehouses, data lakehouses, as I call them, because a combination of a data lake and a lakehouse to make sense, because this forms the repository where all AI is basically running on. Right, this is Holger Mueller from Constellation Research with my takeaways from the Oracle Database Analyst Summit.
Woo! We covered a lot of stuff, Holger. It was busy. It was a busy 2 weeks since I saw you in these little screens last. But guess what happens in 2 more weeks, Holger? We get to see our friends, Larry and Martin. That's right. With episode 104, you're going to be hearing more about insights. You're going to be hearing about the news. You're going to hear a lot of stuff. And we are ramping up because part 2 of springtime silly season gets started next week. Rev your engines, Holger. We're going for it. Thanks for joining. Next episode is going to be Larry and Martin, so check that out. And then we will be back in like a month's time, 2 weeks' time. We'll be back. We'll be back at some point, episode 105. But we'll see you then. Thanks, guys. There's one thing that popped into
You want to become an analyst, Hannah? Come on, it's all time.
Oh my gosh, yes. There's nothing I want more than to travel.
To never fucking see your family.
You'll be happy. You'll be happy.
When's that? When's
during this time of the year? During this time of the year, my family kids would always start saying this week, like, when are you going on the road again? Because over Easter break, there's always like 2 weeks of a break, basically.
How long do people usually stay analysts until they burn out from doing this?
You get used to it very quickly. It sounds so superhuman. It is superhuman, Hannah. It's very special. Only a special breed. You have to be cut of a certain wood? What do you say? Metal?
Cloth.
Material to cloth?
Stop it.
Cloth. Textile reference. You have to be cut of a special cloth.
Like, no offense to the people of Orlando that choose to live there and they make it. Like, God bless you. Like, that. Good for you. That's home. I love it. It is a 6-hour flight that it is like, I don't know what it is about that LAX MCO flight, but I think on other flight pages, they put a little note that says, if you've never been on an aircraft before, this is the flight you should be on.
Yeah.
Because when you're trying to get on that plane, it is people who, like, they put their suitcase in the overhead bin and it is visibly sticking out. Like, it's the...
Oh my gosh.
Why? Why did you do this? Why? Yeah. I understand that there was a space
down,
that the Jenga of your fucking bag could fit in, but that's not what we do here. Like, so you just got to redo all the... I can't fly on that flight.
The flight attendant with the sledgehammer will come and she's gonna hammer in the bag into the
Congratulations, your fucking bag fits now. But it is... And the kids on the flight are not the problem.
That is the worst thing. As much as I love kids, 2 times. There's only one non-stop to Orlando from San Diego. It's on Alaska. 2 times. Literally, I'm not making this up. The pilot makes the announcement that he will divert the flight to Atlanta if the parents don't retrieve their kids running in the aisle because it's not safe. Not direct. Are you paying attention to our Kennigans? What's the difference between a direct and a non-stop flight?
Oh man, yeah, this stuff is really important to remember.
Yes. So if I can be fooled, Hannah, be careful.
All right, I will.
Yeah.
If Holger can be fooled, anyone can be fooled.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's of course Holger. How many years ago? 22 years ago. So.
22 years ago.
And now I'm telling everybody. Direct reverse nonstop, and nobody is listening.
Do you have a graphic, Hannah, that just says Holger public service announcement, and it could just spin in front of us?
Please, let's have that. Come on, we have to get
it's a Holger public service announcement.
This is 103 or 10? 103, right?
101.
103.
103. Ah, shit.
Time flies. You're having fun. It even says in the header. Oh my God, Hannah, that's so advanced.
103, episode 103.
It actually has been saying on the header every single episode for the past 100, but that's okay.
Come on, I can't focus on everything.
So that PSA was Hannah's PSA to the rest of the world that Holger can't read.
Okay, one thing I will say is we really are trying to make these shorter, so try to
what the hell,
keep it
Hannah?
under 10 minutes, please.
What?
All the podcasts are going longer. They're going from 1 hour something. Now they go to 2 hours.
Holger, if you're going to complain about views and things like that, then you need to do what I say.
Oh, because you're the authority on that, okay?
Well, I'm trying to be, but certain people don't listen to me, so, you know.
Point number 2.
I'm all for short.
Hannah.
Short is better.
That's our new segment.
All for short is better.
All right.
That's our new segment. Our new segment on CRTV is going to be called Sick Burns by Hannah. And it's going to be, when things are going to come out, it's going to be so good.
Okay.
So good.
It's coming on and off camera. Like, this is like a record of on and off camera. Oh,
I know.
Here we go. Yeah, look at this. Look at this.
But I love that it's like she's in the stream with audio only, so she can still yell at us.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm so tired. I don't even know what the hell's happening here. Okay, let's do this.
Nice job, you
do
guys.
an exit, then we out. She said 10 minutes. I was like, oh shit.
Are we getting props now?
You're getting
10 minutes.
slight kudos. Yes.
Slight kudos.
Right. Good.
Tiny kudos.
But dear Liz, I have to plant one Easter egg at the end of this call, which you can directly hear from while I'm talking to you. You know, I'm trying to reduce my German accent, and it looks like the Texan accent is totally getting over it. And I want to see how many people catch me with my fake Texan accent at the end of episode 103. Thank you all for watching.
Your accent is terrifying. It's terrifying, Holger. We need to get you another accent.
I just want to see if people pay attention. I want to see if people pay attention.
But no one, everyone's terrified now. Everyone's passed out because they're scared.
Easter egg. You know, Easter egg in software. This was my Easter egg in episode 103. Come on.
I don't know if I like that Easter egg. No. Anyway.
All right, I'm taking away my tiny kudos I gave. They're revoked.
Yeah, they're revoked. He just went on a weird Easter. He became Texan, and that was. Yep. Listen, dad jokes. We don't need to hear any of that. Just stop.
No, dad jokes. I don't get dad jokes. I can't.
I'm sorry. Calling that you get all the basics with Liz and Holger 101. Like hashtag dad joke. Like that is prime dad joke. Real estate,
so dad joke. Dad joke is a reference to a common thing like 101 lesson.
Dad jokes? No, a dad joke is a reference to anything that is lame and a joke.
Okay. Thanks for explaining that to me. I thought dad jokes were about dads or something, but okay.
No!
Oh, it's dad D-E-A-D or dad D-A-D?
No, they're cheesy. Anything cheesy. Anything
like
cheesy.
Cheesy, yeah. D-A-D, like father
D-A-D,
jokes.
yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah,
D-A-D, not D-E-A-D.
Yeah, well, the Pope's died. Come on. I'm thinking about that this morning.
And you lose all of your, like, what the heck, Holger?
Great. Well, this has been awesome, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day.
This has been great, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. I think this has been an absolute fantastic use of time.
And I'm not feeling well either.
That's basically what Holger. If you did not understand that's what that Hannah just did to us was a verbal. It's been so great talking to you guys.